This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to find out all the great programming we have available for you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And we're coming to you around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, across Europe on Euro Radio TV, and our good friends on iHeartRadio. Wes Hamilton is my special guest of this hour, X-Zone Nation, and Wes brings a blend of extensive practical experience and extraordinary mystical know-how in his work. He has a unique gift of working with clients who seek measurable business results, as well as individuals who are seeking the next step on their personal path towards a purpose. In practice of intuition, energy, and life skills, Wes is a master. He weaves ancient wisdom with modern technology to create peace, manifestation, and joy in both his personal and professional life. As a Master Numerologist, clients throughout the world seek his guidance and insight regarding important decisions. He is a certified national trainer of Awakening Your Light Body. And for more information on Wes Hamilton, visit his website, www.weshamilton.com. And Wes, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you, Rob.
First of all, Wes, how did you get into the line of work that you're doing, helping people using numerology and the other facets of mystical wisdom that you use?
Well, it kind of happened by coincidence, as all mystical things do.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona, and ended up walking back into Boynton Canyon and spent the day walking in and out and talking to some people. And the lady walking next to me kept asking me, what my name was and how I spelled it and my birth date and that sort of thing. And I thought she was kind of getting too close too soon. But on the way out, she told me all about myself. It's
wow.
Like, oh, my God, how'd you do that? So she's a psychologist in Boca Raton, Florida, and she said, this is about numerology. She said, it's fascinating. So she started teaching me about it.
Now, for those of us who may be joining us for the first time, how would you describe numerology? What is your definition?
I call it a couple of different things. It's the science of math.
Mm-hmm.
Pythagoras put this together in 600 BC, approximately then. And he, at that time, went into what they called ancient history, the last 4, 5, 6,000 years back then. And he discovered that many different cultures used the name and birth date to help people understand themselves. So he adapted it to our alphabet and our numerical system.
Right. And
it's been used for over 10,000 years from the research I've discovered. And just recently, the last 100 years or so, it's been kind of squelched. But before that, it was a very active process.
Why was it squelched? Why was it squelched, and who squelched it?
Well, it wasn't, approved by the Medical Association, and there was no research done using the current methods that they use to help people understand themselves. So this was a very ancient practice. So it was kind of poo-pooed, like a weird thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that the Medical Association or the medical profession would really care anything about numerology, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, it's not so much the medical as the psychology end of the medical profession.
Okay.
And it's kind of strange because I do a lot of readings around the country and a few of them in other countries. Mm-hmm. And coincidentally, many medical people call and ask for direction.
Really?
Yeah, I consider this the blueprint of our soul. It's defined at birth when we're given our name and our birth date. There's a couple different philosophies behind that. The name on your birth certificate, according to Pythagoras, is the announcement to the world about what you came here to accomplish.
But doesn't
and
that
your birth date? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just by having your name on a birth certificate, doesn't that leave it to the chance of the parents when they give you a name whether or not you're going to be successful or not?
It does. It does. And there's a couple different philosophies on it. I believe that the name sets up the numbers. I know that. Mm-hmm. And once you have numbers in your chart, by reducing your name to different numbers using many different formulas, it sets up a vibration that we follow, kind of like the musical note or that type of thing.
Wes, stand by. We've got to take our first break. X Zone Nation, Wes Hamilton is my special guest. Numerology this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. X Zone Nation, Wes Hamilton is my guest this hour, www.weshamilton.com. All right, Wes, before we went to the break, you said that a person's name is the announcement to the world of their success. And how does that work, especially when mom and dad have, they name you? And what happens if somebody is adopted and the name that they're given by the adopted parents is not the name given by the birth parents?
Well, it's interesting, and that comes up quite a bit, more than you'd think. It's the name that was placed on the birth certificate. And I did a study with a good friend of mine who's been around my life around 40 years, and his name on his birth certificate, he says, well, that was just baby boy Olson. And so I said, okay, well, he said after few days or whatever, he was named Floyd Bjorlin Olson. And At age 11 or 12, his uncle said, well, that's how you spell Bjorland. So anyway, I did charts for all three, and I knew him really well. He's really baby boy Olson.
Oh, okay. So how do you decipher the person's birth date or their birth name, and how does the numerology work?
Well, there's a formula. We use numbers 1 through 9. And for instance, an A is a 1, a B is a 2, a C is a 3, and so forth. So we use that up to 26 letters that we've got in the alphabet. And once you've got a number for each letter, then I have different formulas that I look at things. So, for instance, the first name, the middle name, the last name, or if you've got 4 names or whatever, all of those reduced to one single digit becomes what I call your destiny in life, what you must accomplish, what you must become, what you run into throughout your life that just doesn't go away.
All right, but if there's different formulas, how do you know which formula to use?
Well, that's how you become a master numerologist. You understand that the formulas are giving you different answers. So, for instance, the vowels in a person's name is what they call your heart's desire. So if I take and add the numerical formula for the vowels in a person's name, when I come up with a single digit, I know what really calls to them, what they continue to want more and more throughout life. Their destiny number, which is their whole name, sets up some of the things they must learn about and overcome in life. So their heart kind of draws them, their destiny prompts them.
Okay. How long does it take you to do a person's chart?
Well, I've got it on a computer now. It used to take me hours.
Okay.
And I've designed a fun little app for $10 on the App Store. And that one, you can punch in your name and birth date, and you can pop it up, and you can find out things in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. To do a complete chart, it takes me a couple of hours to put that together and research it and print it out and study it. And then when I talk to the person online or on the phone, or they come and visit me, I spend another hour and go through it. So it's a quite involved process.
So what is important for all of us to know about our current 2017 timeline? Well,
that's a really good question. Because we measure timelines in 9-year cycles, 2017 is the first year of our new 9-year cycle. And this 9-year cycle is about creating win-win situations in life. And whatever we do in 2017 sets the tone to continue developing for the next 9 years. So I've been very, very busy this year setting people on track, on target, getting them coached to, okay, is this what you really want? And this is how you're going to go after it. And here's your timelines to accomplish it. So this is a big year. And every year, or every 9 years, we start a new 9-year cycle. The last one was all about financial matters. And those of us who lived through that last 9-year cycle, there was a lot of financial matters coming up, foreclosures and bankruptcies and bank frauds and greed and that sort of thing. Well, that's done. And now it's like, how do we put things back together and create win-win?
Well, what kind of information could you give a person that they couldn't figure out for themselves if they're successful?
Well, they can figure out the numbers very easily, and there's lots of different programs on the internet that you could look at and find. What I've discovered with many of the programs is they give you little snippets of things, and many of them aren't that accurate with the numbers. The programmer didn't get it right or whatever. I spent almost 2 years making sure mine was right and all the numbers were accurate no matter which way you approached it. So once you get the numbers, you get an idea. For instance, you might be a number 3, which is all about conversations and networking and socializing and promoting and that sort of thing. And when you have that number, then there's a whole range of areas that can work in. For instance, a number 3 is really good at marketing, promoting, writing, speaking, those kind of things. Then you got to learn about the challenge of it. What's the challenge? Well, sometimes it's hard to stay focused. Sometimes you need a lot of help staying on track. Sometimes you lose your keys. You can't figure out where to go in the right timeline. So all the things that you can get information off the internet, I've been working at this for a little over 25 years, and there's such a depth to this that you kind of find this works with this works with that. My gift is weaving it all together. That's the thing where you get maybe 15, 20 formulas and you get all the answers. Now, how do you weave it together and make sense out of it?
Well, what I was getting at is, why would a person who is successful in business use a numerologist?
Well, most of the people that come to me looking for answers are trying to get to be successful. And usually success is measured in obviously financial gain. But many times people come with relationship issues. Sometimes they come with health issues. Sometimes they come dealing with losses. And it's interesting to see the day we're born, it sets a lot of this stuff into motion. That's what your day of birth is used for, your month, day, and the year. And when this goes into motion, it seems kind of crazy, but people that have been living 40, 50, 60, 70 years, when they come each year for an update on their chart, I can tell them, well, this was going on during this month. This is going on that month. And they're like, oh, my God, how did that happen? It's because once you get the momentum going of numbers and cycles, it's predictable.
Okay, so how would this work with a relationship? Like how does the person's name work for a relationship, or how does it work for a disease? I don't understand the correlation or how it works.
Okay. Relationships are always kind of fun. We learn most of our lessons through relationships. And one of the things I've discovered is the odd numbers, like 1, 3, 5, and so forth. Those numbers are how we are learning about our life through our own experiences. The even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, those are numbers that we learn about with things outside of ourselves. So if we have a person that's a number 2 and they're dating a number 1, the 1 wants to know what's in it for them. And the number 2 says, well, what's in it for us? So as I go through that and teach them about how they see the world and what they expect from each other, they start to understand, oh, we don't all think alike. He's not like me. She's not like me. We don't think alike. We have different energies that are driving us to look at life differently. So when I look at those things, I can see how many numbers are very compatible and then what numbers challenge you back and forth. And it's very interesting because when I sit with a couple and talk to them, they can definitely see when I ask them, well, you've got also, we didn't talk about this yet, but there's what they call karmic numbers, which are numbers that are indicating we've got some special lessons to learn around a particular area. So there might be a karmic number of a 1 that's called a 19. The 1 and the 9 is a 10, and that's reduces to 1 in numerology. We always try to get to a single digit. So a 19-1 is always looking about what's in it for that person for leadership and identity. They're looking at how they can stand out in the crowd without having an ego. And in a relationship, a number 2 tends to sit back and not take center stage and to be supportive. So 1s and 2s work really well together. But if you get like 2 4s together, they'll agree on many things, but they'll both argue because they're both set in their ways. So it really helps people understand each other. And then when I bring the monthly and the yearly timing chart with them, they can see how, yes, they agree on many things, but they need to have an idea of what's going on with each one of them so they can agree from a new perspective.
If people have free will, as so many members of the New Age community believe, as well as members of the alternative religious philosophies believe, how is it that this can be such an exact science? People can change. How do you compensate for that? How do you
Well,
compensate?
and that's the beauty of the numerology. This is your soul blueprint. You don't have to follow it. And I can show different timelines about. I love to start a numerology reading where I can go back in time. So maybe the person's 25, 30 years old. I can go back and say, well, this has been going on for the first 10, 15 years of your life. Does that make sense? Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it does. And then this has been going on the last 8 or 10 years of your life. Does that make sense? Yeah, I can see that that's totally what's been going on. Well, if that's true, is this going on now? Yeah, you're right. That's what's going on now. Well, then this perhaps could be going on in the future. So I'd like to go back and get evidence from the past first, then evidence from the present situation, and then now here's some possibilities for you in the future.
But it all depends on if the person wants to follow or not. Nothing is written in stone, right?
Right, and not everyone follows it. So people that come back yearly with this, they'll come back. I print out a book. It's a 40, 50-page book telling a person all about themselves with timelines in it. And when they come back the next year for an updated reading, it's full of coffee stains and notes and writings. And oh my God, it's just amazing. Most of the people don't look at the month and say, okay, for this next month, I'm going to do this. They seem to look at what happened the month previously. That's how they use their chart. Yep, that worked. And once in a while, they'll look into, well, what's coming up this week? Like I just read this reading for a lady, and she was in a number 6 month, and she's a high-profile business person, that multi-million-dollar business owner, runs several businesses. And she said, what's it going on for this year for me? I went through the chart, and I said, no, number 6. You're in number 6 month, and you need to spend time with your family and your friends. And she said, oh my God. She said, that's all I've been doing, and I feel so guilty. She said, I've got graduations, I've got birthdays, I've got family coming in from out of town. I said, relax. This month is just what you're supposed to be doing.
Wes, stand by. We've got to take our break. Exonation Wes Hamilton is our guest. And Wes and I will be back after the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For more information on Wes Hamilton, visit his website, weshamilton.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Wes Hamilton is our guest, www.weshamilton.com, and we're talking about numerology. Once again, weshamilton.com. I've been told by every numerologist that we've had on the show, my number is 7. What does that tell you about who I am?
That's your birth number, or your
that's my birth
birthday
number.
added up?
Yep, that's my birth number.
Well, 7's a very spiritual number. I call that the number that's the king of questions. You can never get enough answers to satisfy your quest for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You're a person that would rather be on radio than on TV. You like to work from behind the scenes. With a 7 number, you're usually good with technology, or at least understand it, because you understand the inner workings of how the human spirit works, which is very much like technology. You're an observer. You tend to observe before you speak. You don't jump in with ideas and opinions. So it's perfect for what you're doing right now. You ask a bunch of questions, which is a natural gift you have.
Yeah, my gift of asking questions came in very handy when I was a police investigator. And
that's even better.
Yeah. And I do a lot of TV, and I actually love the TV shows that we produce here. So, you were okay. Does a person's number change throughout their life, or is that it's fixed for life?
It's fixed for life. The birth path, the birth date, that sets in timelines, and it's also, gives your identity of who you are. The things that change are your timelines. They change daily, monthly. I use another program called the Destiny cards. And they're regular playing cards with numbers on them. And that whole system came out, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 years ago. I like it because the numbers also have different suits on them. Mm-hmm. And from there, I can tell if it's a spade, this number that I'm working with has something to do with health and career. If it's hearts, it's relationships. If it's diamonds, it's about your values and your money. And clubs, it's all about communication. So there's lots of things you can use to help understand yourself. It's interesting because people sometimes don't like the name they were born with, or they're frustrated with their family. Mm-hmm. I had a lady many years ago come to me for a reading, and she said, I absolutely will not give you my name and my birth certificate because I disowned my family. And all right, so it's your chart. Mm-hmm. So I did it, and she said, well, that's just like me. That is me. See, you didn't need it. About 3 years later, I ran into her in a health food store, and she says, it's always bothered me. I never gave you my name. She said, can I tell you my real name when we do that chart again? So I said, you have a lot of 7 energy, which is about trusting in life. So let's sit down, and I spent a couple hours writing it all out on a napkin there with the name that was on her birth certificate. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, the numbers were the same as the name she chose and the name that she was born with.
Amazing.
She never got away from who she is.
Besides using numerology for people, can you use numerology for animals? Can you use numerology for the date of incorporation of a business?
Yes, for animals. I had a Lhasa Apso for 19 years, and she was an amazing dog, and I got her from a friend, and I did her numerology, and she was what I considered a master among pets. She had a lot of master numbers, so she taught me a lot. As far as businesses go, that's one of the things I do a lot of also. When you name your business, it's very important to have a name that conveys the energy of the product or service you're doing. And then the date that you file it with the county that you're going to start is like its birth certificate. Mm-hmm. So I spend a lot of time with people either rebranding or branding their company. And first of all, we've got to find out what the product or service is and how they communicate their mission statement. And then does that line up with the name of the company and the birth date? So I had a lady that was referred to me down in, I think, Colorado, and she was going to open a health spa. And she had spent thousands of dollars designing it and building it all out, and she was ready to name it and then start it. And she said, I was supposed to call you to see if everything's right. And we looked at it and talked to her, and I said, you know what? I think you got to wait 30 days to open it. And she said, oh, no. I'm not going to do that. I've got all the attorneys ready to file the papers. I said, okay. But if you do, it's not going to work as well as you want it to. So begrudgingly, she waited 30 days, filed the papers, named it to what we came up with. She had overnight success. 5 years later, it's still thriving. So coincidence, maybe, but
yeah, I was just going to say, how do you know that if she would have filed on the date that she wanted to file, that she would not have been an overnight success then as well?
Well, because I don't know that because she didn't go down that path. What I do know is the number that showed up on the date she was going to file it was a number of standing behind the curtain to not be seen, but really want to do business. So I could see that by the number, she wouldn't be seen, but she'd be very busy.
Gotcha.
Trying to be seen. Yeah.
What are some of the common questions people ask you?
Common one is, when should I start my business? More common seems to be, what should I name my child? What birth date should I have? When should I get married? Those kind of things.
Wait a sec.
Yeah.
Why would somebody ask you what birth date should they have?
For the child. For the child.
So you mean
so the child could grow up to be successful.
So you mean there are people who will actually deter the birth of their child, put their child in jeopardy just so that they think the child would be successful?
I don't know about that. I do know about a lady that was very adamant about having her child grow up to be a very successful business person. And so I looked at her chart and I said, well, you've got some different timelines in here. And she said, well, I've already intuitively felt this is the day. So I said, okay. So we did a chart for the child, and she called me from the doctor's office one day and said, I'm in here having a checkup, and we're still on track. Everything looks really good. And all of a sudden, she got really quiet. I said, what happened? She says, my water broke. She had the child that day. So I redid the chart. I went out to the hospital and handed it to her. I said, I know you were very intent on having your child born on a certain day because of a family member that was successful. It's even better on the day that the child was born. So your intention maybe caused it to happen, or the child says, let's get out early. I don't know how those things happen. I just know it's a lot of coincidences doing this work.
I find that rather strange that a mother would actually, I'm sorry, birth is too special to.
Well, this lady was she's from China, and in
I don't care if she's from
Chinese
Pakistan.
In Chinese culture, they're very, very adamant about the numerology.
Well, they should worry about air pollution before they worry about numerology, I think.
That's true. That's why she's living here.
How about Donald Trump? Have you done his birth date?
I have.
What did you find out about the Donald that we don't know about? Well,
the Donald that we don't know about is what we're experiencing every day. I actually have his chart here. I'm doing an article for a newspaper. Donald likes to work with big business, as we already know. He's a master number of a 22-4. His destiny is a rebel, to create chaos and challenge every kind of thing that's going on, and that's what we're experiencing right now. It's a 14-5, which means if you don't create chaos, you'll never be able to manipulate and control things. So he's doing his destiny, and he's doing a really good job of it. His heart's desire is another karmic number about relationships. He has a challenge around close relationships. So he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. He's according to his birth date and his name.
Has there ever been a chart that you've done for someone that's just blown you away?
I don't know if it's blown me away in the sense that I think what I did do a talk here a couple months ago about 2017, what's coming up with our president. I did some research, and I went back and found that Lyndon B. Johnson had very similar numbers as Donald Trump, and they both had the same message during their presidency of how they got elected. We're going to make America great, and the other one is we're going to make America greater. So I find these numbers continue to repeat things that have a little different perspective, but the same energy. That's what I see when I get blown away, so to speak. It's like, look at how the numbers show up doing the same thing, just a little bit different.
Have you ever done a chart that was so bad you didn't have the heart to give it to the person who requested it?
I have not. I did a relationship chart for a couple, and it was very disappointing. Usually I look for 10 or 12 things that they have in common. They had two things, their kids and their lake home. And they had nothing else to communicate with or enjoy each other with. So I spent a lot of time teaching them or showing them you've got a great relationship as long as this is where you know that you're going to bond and connect.
Mm-hmm.
However, you both need outside interest in order to find some joy in your life. And they were struggling because they couldn't find any joy.
Wow. So if somebody has a very bad birth chart, is there anything that they can do to change it?
My philosophy is there's nothing good or bad. I think we have our gifts and our challenges, and that we're always here learning lessons as long as we're above ground. So I can see challenges in birth charts where you have a lot of challenges like Donald does. He's got a couple of very karmic numbers that creates struggles for himself and others wherever he goes. Making people aware that they're doing it because they're being driven from an inside energy, that they came here to create this, and then teaching them how they could do it a little bit different. I'd rather do a chart that's got a lot of challenges in it and give them the opportunities of where they could move that energy into a more positive vein instead of constantly recreating chaos.
All right, stand by, Wes. You and I have to take our final break. Exonation, Wes Hamilton is our guest, www.weshamilton.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we have on our website a petition to have Jan Harzan, the executive director of the Mutual UFO Network, resign for allowing racism and racist remarks to be said by directors and members of MUFON's inner circle. And you know what? He doesn't find anything wrong with it. The guy's got to go. Go to www.xzbn and click on the petition. You can also go to thecupandsaucer.com and sign the petition there. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Wes Hamilton and I return on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Exonation, Wes Hamilton's our guest this hour, and he is a numerologist. His website is www.weshamilton.com. Wes, can numerology help people find the right career?
They do. It really does. They come to me a lot for that. In fact, my wife and I have created a career guidance program that will be released here very soon called Career Seeker. We have used numerology for years to help people find their career path. The numbers indicate a wide variety of things you could do. If you're a number one, you can be a great leader. You're very independent. You're a self-starter. You'd be good in sales, those kind of things. Number 2 is a support person, a person who has the patience to wait for things, take care of details, those kind of things. So yes, but in addition to their birth path, I look at their whole chart to see what timelines they're in, because many of the people that I work with are in their middle 40s. Middle 40s in numerology says when you're age 45, you're at the end of your first cycle. At age 46, you're starting a new 45-year cycle. And many people have what, the breakdown, midlife crisis going on. So I look at their charts. I do a lot of coaching with people all over the country using their numerology and a couple other modalities to help people shift and get into something that actually fuels their soul instead of what they think they should be doing.
What kind of other modalities do you use?
I use a lot of meditation work. I believe if we get ourselves centered and stay focused and learn to connect to our inner self daily, we're much more clear. I encourage journaling. With that, I encourage some books to read. And as I said, my wife and I have created an assessment that measures why you do something. It's called the Core Passion Assessment. That's been amazing to do leadership and team building and strategies and that sort of thing. So when you put all these together, people get a complete picture of, okay, yeah, you were really good at this for the first 10, 15, 20 years, and you're feeling a little antsy right now. I was coaching a gal just before we got on the radio here, and she's an amazing leader, and because she's so good, they've got her traveling all over the United States, working with teams all over the United States, and she's wearing out. So I started on a meditation practice a few months ago, and she's having a hard time honoring that. But she says, when I do it, I feel much more calm and centered. I know what you're talking about. I just have to learn a new habit. So the numerology is guiding her what to do each month. I see her moving in September, and I ask her what her plans are, and she says, I'm feeling it, but I don't know where yet. So I do things like that to keep people perspective focused, and then I teach them how to start doing vision boards to get an idea, get a visual in their mind to draw that future to them.
Is there any way that your numerology can tell when you're going to be dying, and is there anything that can be done with your death date?
People ask me that a lot, and I think a lot of numerologists, when we talk, I have not found a day to do that. My mom lived to 93 years old, and I thought maybe I could trace back to see if there was anything there. And there were a couple of 9s in her chart around her too. And I thought, well, maybe that's how they predicted, during the time she got sick and died at 93. But I've been tracking it ever since to find proof, and there's no proof that a lot of people have 9s in their chart that live happily. So it's not that. I'm not sure if that's a possibility that you can do that. What I can do, since I'm a real estate broker also, I use to see when the people should buy and sell their properties. That is amazing. I just worked with a gal and sold her house this week, and a couple of months ago we did her chart.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I want to move. When should I move? And I said, I think you're going to be moving August, maybe September. And she said, well, I want to move now. Well, okay, we found her a nice place this week, signed it up. But when she checked on her finances, she had to pull money out of her retirement fund, but she couldn't do it until September. So there you are. So
I cannot believe the number of numerologists who are also in real estate.
Well, we're good with numbers, Rob. It does help. It's an amazing tool. Yeah, I've been in real estate for 40 years, and I didn't use it the first 20.
I had one numerologist on the show who dealt with the house numbers, and he would do the numerology on the house. And for example, if 1, 2, 3, the combination was not good, by simply adding another number onto the address, it would change the entire numerology for the house. Yes. Wow.
Yes, you can do that. That's kind of using feng shui with numerology. Yeah. And people ask me that a lot. Is this a good address for me to be at? And sometimes people that are building homes and buying lots, that's easier for them to call me and ask me, here's what the address will be. Should I take this lot or the next lot? And because I know what they're trying to accomplish, I can choose a lot for them. For instance, my house adds up to a 3. We have people coming and going here all the time and run our business out of here. It's a 1-acre yard with all kinds of landscaping. 3 is about socializing and having people together.
Tell me about your graduation from the School of Life Learning.
I lived through a lot of things, Rob. I had several near-death experiences. I've been to the other side and back and talked to the people there. I filed bankruptcy many years ago, owing millions of dollars, doing my real estate investing.
Hold on here. Let me ask you this. Yeah. Were you doing numerology all those years ago when you lost all these millions of dollars?
Nope. Nope. No, the numerology came after me searching for it. There's got to be something else. No, I started on my spiritual journey in Sedona right after the bankruptcy.
What is so spiritual about Sedona? Why can't people get the same spiritual revelation or the spiritual epiphany in New York City, Los Angeles, Yellowstone National Park? What is so special about Sedona? I mean, besides the great marketing that they do.
Well, the history is that the natives used to go there for no more than 2 weeks to renew their spirit. Mm-hmm. There's an energy in that land there that when you get there, you just take a deep breath and release it like, wow, I'm here. If you walk into the desert like we do, we climb in the rocks and that sort of thing, mm-hmm. we look for different vortexes, and we measure them with our divining rods or our pendulum. Another way to find it is to look for trees that are twisted. They're just absolutely twisted and spiraled because of the energy. And usually we go there once a year for a week or two. And there's something about the energy there that really renews the spirit. And we'd be sitting there on the rocks, and there'd be people from all over the world fly there to spend a week there. It's like going to a health spa where you sit on the rocks.
How much of this is the placebo effect?
I was going there long before it was popular because mm-hmm. I was drawn to it. In fact, it was just a little country western town. Mm-hmm. I don't like it as well now because it looks like a modern town with all the things you're supposed to buy and do, right, and they made roundabouts. Mm-hmm. It's just so I went there because it felt good 35, 40 years ago. I don't think it's a placebo effect because you keep coming back and feeling better.
Well, like every year I go back to certain places because I like it. I go up north to my daughter's house, or I go up north to my other daughter's house. And I feel good because I get away from the office, I get away from the computers, I get away from the TV production, I get away from the radio production. I just feel good because I'm away. And I just wonder if people are experiencing the same thing when they go to Sedona.
Well, my wife and I travel to many different areas because mm-hmm. we love it. We love the ocean, so we'll go there. Yeah. We like the warm weather in the winter. We feel good. We love it. We have timeshares in many different places. It's different than being renewed. I don't get renewed going to Florida. I get warm and peaceful and away from the phones and the emails. When I go to Sedona, I get recharged. Sometimes I'll sleep 12 hours. Normally I sleep 6 to 8. It's a healing place. And the people I talk to, they say the same thing. I come to heal here.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah,
listen,
that's right.
we've got about a minute and a half left. What are your final thoughts for the members of the X-Zone Nation listening tonight?
Well, I think the main thing that all of us are here to learn about is who we are. And I know that when we know who we are, then we'll know what to do. And Simon Sinek, who's written the book Start With Why, which is a bestseller, mm-hmm. he's got the same philosophy, and he says start with why. So when you know who you are, you will know what to do. We created a program for the kids and people in careers. If you know what's driving you to get to where you are, you feel more confident. I think our whole life is learning about who we are. And when you know who you are, all of a sudden you have a confidence. And you start to see patterns. You start to see desires. And you can stay more focused. When you're searching and confused, it's hard to make decisions. So my philosophy is, when you know who you are, you know what to do.
Hey, Wes,
I believe our uniqueness is within our greatness.
All right, Wes, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. XO Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Wes Hamilton, www.weshamilton.com. I don't know, I think Sedona's a lot of hype, but that's just me. They've got a great Chamber of Commerce there, does a great job. What was it somebody once called it, Craig? Woo-woo haven? We'll be back on the other side of this break as the X Zone continues from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.